Hi-ho, trivia buffs! I am the Real Manos, and I thought it would be fun to follow in Captain Logan's footsteps and create a video discussing all the kind of random facts and little histories about me, the Real Manos, to kind of introduce myself a little bit to the Geekvolution family who may or may not be that familiar with me, because I understand some people didn't even watch my videos over on the Real Manos before I really started taking a lead position over here. So some of these things you may have heard of before in either Geekvolution videos or Real Manos videos, and some you'll probably learn for the first time. So here we go. Here is a bunch of trivia facts, random facts, 40 of them about me, the Real Manos. I was born in May 1971 in Virginia Beach, Virginia. This is Baby B. Fact number 2, I moved to Norfolk in 2001. Fact, my first comic book was Spidey Super Stories, number 27. It features Spidey, Thor, Loki, and Mary Jane. Fact number 4, I roughly have estimated that I have 4,500 comics in my collection. I graduated from Kempsville High School in 1990. Here's a couple of my senior pictures. Do you think I can still do that face? Okay, I basically always do that face. I started acting in the drama group, even becoming part of the thespian group. I took part in plays Our Town, Little Foxes, and MASH, which was probably my favorite one to work on. Some ask me how I stay youthful and beautiful. It's simply because I have no kids. In fact, I actually was adopted by my natural grandparents, believing them to be my natural parents. I learned this when I was 12 years old. My first big anime I was into was Battle of the Planets, also known in Japan as Gatchaman, and also known in this country as G-Force and Eagle Riders. Ugh, it was really good as Battle of the Planets, though. I consider myself a liberal Democrat politically, but ironically, the first person I voted for when I was 18 was a Republican. I can't remember his name anymore, but he was the guy running against Doug Wilder for governor. As you can tell, I really was excited about that. So he was the only Republican I voted for my entire life. The first movie my parents ever took me to was Smokey and the Bandit in the summer of 1977. It was actually at a drive-in, and it was a pretty awesome experience from what I remembered. And ever since then, as a kid, I reenacted with my toy cars all the time scenes from the film. And I have maintained a Sally Field crush since then. My favorite Transformers are Optimus Prime, Starscream, Megatron, Soundwave, and Cup, in that order. Excluding Gulking here, he's a Shogun warrior. That's a different thing. I consider myself somewhat of a Star Trek fan. I'm a big fan of original series and Next Generation. I don't know if I'd go all the way to call myself a Trekkie, frankly. The date of my first kiss was October 6th, 1985. Why do I remember that? That's because I have it framed, a pool pass from that day. I'll always remember. Current favorite candy, gummy savers, or frankly, gummy anything. You make something gummy, I'll eat it. It's a perfect food. There's nothing better. I went from acting in high school to acting professionally in the 90s. I did a few appearances on TV shows and movies, including, believe it or not, I have a small part as reporter number 1 in this movie called Dress Code. I also appeared in a UPN TV show, Legacy. Don't bother trying to find a box set of it. I think it's the only show no one cares about. I appear in an episode of that. I don't remember the episode number, but it's called Where Spirits Live. And you can actually catch me in an episode of New Detectives on Netflix right now. Netflix is showing the TV series from the 90s and 2000s called New Detectives. I am in an episode called Bad Medicine as a forensic officer. I'm pretty easy to catch in the first episode. I have a camera and glasses. And a little backstory on that. My agent called me, said show up to this hotel, they're shooting an episode. Assistant director hands me the camera and the overalls and says, look like you know what you're doing. So I am now prepared to work under George Lucas at any point with that kind of direction. My character, Red Knight, I've created him back in 1990. He used to look like this. Pretty much the same guy, right? When I was 12, I actually quit comic books for a while because I thought it was too childish and I was going to be an adult. That's when, a few years later, 5 years later, I was like 17 or 18, I had heard that there was a Transformers comic book, and I thought, okay, I'll just buy that. I'm a big fan of Tori Amos. Her album, Little Earthquakes, is quite possibly my favorite album of all time. I'm also a big fan of, Queen, They Might Be Giants, Dresden Dolls. I've seen Tori perform, I believe, 5 times in concert. As in comparison, I've also seen They Might Be Giants perform 3 times. I've seen Amanda Palmer perform, how many times, Lindsay? You and I have seen her together. 3 times. With Dresden Dolls, solo, and part of that weird Siamese twin act thing she had going on. Good times. I am an indie writer and indie comic creator. I have created Red Knight. I have 2 trade paperbacks of them, and I've written a novel, a vampire novel called Davida. All of these are available on Amazon. My all-time favorite car is the 1977 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am, specifically the black one with the T-top. I will own one someday, damn it. I have 2 tattoos. One of them is a stylized bat symbol on my arm right here, and the other is a dragon. Oh, I can't show that to you. It's kind of a tramp stamp. I have been a Mystery Science Theater fan since 1992. No, I'm not a Trekkie, but I am certainly a Misty. My first episode was Gamera, and I saw it over the shoulder of a clerk at a comic book store. I watched the whole episode in the store, so I can't get any geekier than that. I was once living with and engaged to a belly dancer. As a matter of fact, after months of being broken up, I was still finding glitter everywhere. For the first 12 years of my life, I thought the woman who was my natural mother was actually my sister. And I did not even meet my natural father for many years later. I first met Lindsay because I was introduced to her through her mother. I was working with her mother at a furniture store at the time, and she suggested me meeting her daughter. And I asked her, about, hey, what is she like? Wondering what we had in common. And one of the first things she told me was she's a big Neil Gaiman fan. I knew we had to go out. Favorite holiday? Halloween. Love it. I can't get enough of it. Should be a national holiday. In the 90s, I met Neil Gaiman at Heroes Con convention. I specifically went to him with a plan because at the time there was a rumor that he would be writing and directing a Death, a High Cost of Living film. So I went with him not only to get a signature, but a video of me acting as an audition tape as Sexton. Hopefully, that would be my in. Unfortunately, he had mentioned to me that was just a rumor, not really going through. And I had lost a copy of my hardcover that day, and he was really nice about it, and he wrote on a copy of one of the single issues of Death, the High Cost of Living, Justin, don't worry about it. At least you're not dead. Neil Gaiman. Lindsay and I got married in October 2014, and it is by far the best day of my life. We had a Halloween theme, and we kind of kept it loose. We didn't stick too hardcore to wedding traditions because neither one of us really kind of don't play that game. So it was an excellent day, a best day of my life. Even if I get the job to direct Star Trek and Star Wars in the same day, it's not going to top this by not even close. I can't play the ukulele. I've co-written and co-produced a short film, horror film, based on one of my short stories. It's called Caprice, and it is a cool little horror film I did. Don't get too excited by this. This is a sampler disc that was sent to several horror and sci-fi conventions to be shown at several film festivals. The cool thing is lead actress Renee Thrasher actually won a award and has actually kind of started a acting career. She's done a few things since then, and I'm kind of excited to know that I played a little part in that because she's fantastic. Right now, director Jack Bennett is shopping around to see if he could find a distributor for it, so could be any time. Okay, I went to the theaters in the summer of 1977 to see Smokey and the Bandit. I didn't see Star Wars until the next year after on TV. Actually, 2 years later. It took a while for it to get to HBO. So the first Star Wars film I ever watched was the holiday special. I first met my natural father for the first time in 2014. He had actually reached out to me through Facebook and asked if we should meet. 2 weeks before my wedding, we sat down and had lunch and talked it out, and it was amazing. We've been friends ever since. My signature at the end of most of my videos is Push the Button Lindsay. For those of you who aren't aware, that is a direct reference to Mystery Science Theater, where in the years that Clayton Forrester and TV's Frank were the mad villain, sinister villains, almost every episode would end with Forrester saying, "Push the button, Frank." So that just naturally folded into that as Push the Button Lindsay. My first YouTube video was reviewing the first Iron Man movie, and I also talked about the upcoming film Watchmen. I drink up to 2 coffees a day. As a matter of fact, if it were up to me, the 4 food groups would be meat, cheese, gummy bears, and coffee. My favorite bands of all time include the Go-Go's, They Might Be Giants, the Beatles, the Birthday Massacre, the Dresden Dolls. The very first thing I wrote was a play called Between Bells, a one-act play about teachers in high school, and it was actually performed live, and it was, at that time in my life, the greatest artistic thing I ever did. And finally, the secret origin of the Real Manos. For those of you who probably heard me say this, I composited 2 references for my name, The Real Ghostbusters, which I was a big fan of, and Manos the Hands of Fate, which I'm a big Mystery Science Theater fan, so obviously that happened. What really kind of got me into doing videos was I was a fan of a YouTuber called Eris Laughs, and I have completely ripped off her style. If you watch my videos, I just hold comics up, talk to the camera, no cuts. That's pretty much how she did things, and when I watched her, I really enjoyed her style, and I thought, oh, that's kind of something I could do. So that was my greatest influence, actually, as a YouTuber. Well, that's it for now. I hope you've learned a little bit about me, the Real Manos. And, hey, you know, if you have any interesting tidbits about yourself, any fun facts, you can list them below. This is about conversation, people. I'd like to get to know you, too. So, until next time, push the button, Lindsay.